This changes everything for the New York Knicks, as they are just hours away from the biggest game of the last 25 years and the biggest game of many players' careers, including Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and many other. And on top of this, there is a major update going over the Indiana Pacers and a huge matchup problem that the Indiana Pacers are facing against the New York Knicks that very likely will lead to the New York Knicks winning this series now, and we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things. As always, guys, if you're part of that 73% that's not subscribed to Knicks Digest, make sure to subscribe. We got a bunch of great videos like this one coming out every single day. You do not want to miss out on all the great New York Knicks content, so make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications. But let's jump into this. There's a lot to go over on this New York Knicks team in regards to what's going on right now. As the Knicks, they're down 2-1 against the Indiana Pacers, and May 27th, Tuesday, I'm filming this obviously the same day, they face off in the biggest game of many players' careers and the biggest game the Knicks have played in the last 25 years. Now, the Knicks, they're down 2-1 right now and are playing in Indiana to try to do the opposite home court thing. The Pacers, they dropped their first game at home. The Knicks dropped both their games at home to start this series. And now the Knicks have a chance to even the series back up at 2 with having home court advantage once again, giving the Knicks a real chance to truly become the favorites once again in this series against the Pacers, where they were initially expected to win going into things. Now, a lot has happened in this series. We've seen Jalen Brunson go off and then have his worst game of the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Knicks still won that game because Karl-Anthony Towns' heroics. We saw Tom Thibodeau expand the lineups, and the Knicks looked fresher and better at the end of games than they previously did, including two terribly finished off games by the Knicks where the execution went poorly and they ended up dropping 2 games that they could have easily won. The Knicks find themselves in a very interesting position right now, especially in regards to Jalen Brunson, as right there you see guarding Jalen Brunson is Aaron Nesmith. Nesmith has been the guy guarding Jalen Brunson this entire series, and he guarded Brunson for the majority of the last series as well last year against the Indiana Pacers, a series the Pacers did win in 7 games. Now, that was a change as Nesmith was not initially guarding Jalen Brunson. This was a switch at the halftime of Game 2 that Nesmith went on Brunson, and Brunson did have a bit of trouble against him, leading to Nesmith being the primary defender on Jalen Brunson. But as we all know, Nesmith rolled his ankle and sprained it against the New York Knicks in Game 3, and that is going to have a huge impact on the rest of this series. As Tim Bontemps mentioned, Aaron Nesmith will likely be listed as a game-time decision against the New York Knicks and probably will be questionable per Rick Carlisle, who said Nesmith was predictably sore. Nesmith was walking with a noticeable limp in the locker room post-game after an ankle sprain, and as Sam Quinn mentions, once the adrenaline wears off and the swelling sets in, moving on a sprained ankle can get even harder in the days that follow. Nesmith may or may not be able to play Tuesday night, but even if he does, there's a good chance that he's very limited. Now, obviously, this is a huge problem for the Indiana Pacers, as he's the guy who guards Jalen Brunson, but on top of that, Nesmith all playoffs long has been excellent for the Indiana Pacers. I mean, he's been one of the integral reasons why the Pacers are here. Now, yes, the Pacers have not had a hard road here in regards to the fact they won both their series pretty handily. They were in control of both of those series against both the Milwaukee Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yes, injuries happened, but at the same time, you can't blame the Pacers for playing injured teams. It's not like they chose that. And also, every team gets injury luck at one point or another. I mean, it's not like the Knicks played a fully healthy Celtics team either. Let's be real. They were less injured than the Cavs, who the Pacers played, but also the Celtics were better than the Pacers. And this isn't a contest over who had a harder road here. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the Pacers got here, and Nesmith was one of the biggest reasons why. And it's because he put up 15 points per game while also grabbing 6.2 rebounds, getting an assist, and shooting 52% from the field and 53.5% from 3. Aaron Nesmith has been absolutely unbelievable shooting the ball throughout this playoff run. And it got even better against the New York Knicks, as Nesmith, through these first 3 games, has 16.7 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, and 1.3 steals in those 3 games. Now, in that span as well, he's shooting 53.6% from the field and 73.3% from 3. Nesmith has been awesome. He's getting a 90% free throw percentage as well as true shootings in the high 70s, which is insane. Look, Aaron Nesmith has been awesome for the Pacers. Now, there's a lot to discuss with this. Obviously, a bit of the benefit is because you look at that first game he had, where he went 8 for 9 from 3 and 9 for 13 from the field. But still, he still has had a great series nonetheless and a great playoffs nonetheless. Nesmith has been an important part of the Pacers for years now and has been the guy who's been guarding Jalen Brunson. So obviously that leads to some concern when Nesmith now is down with that injury, because you have to figure out who is going to guard Jalen Brunson? Is Nesmith still going to be on Brunson even though he's hobbled? Is Rick Carlisle going to switch things up? It becomes a big question, and obviously it depends on if Nesmith plays. I'm erring on the side that Nesmith is going to play. I highly doubt a man who's that hot would want to sit down when you're a game away from being a game away from getting to the NBA Finals. It does not seem like something Aaron Nesmith would do, but with the New York Knicks, it was mentioned by Sam Quinn that Nesmith is probably Indiana's best answer for Jalen Brunson. He held him to 27 of 60 shooting in last year's series, whereas Indiana's other frequent Brunson defender, Andrew Nembhard, got torched in 26 of 39 shooting. Those numbers have been closer this time around, but with the important caveat that Brunson only has 7 turnovers to only 6 assists against Aaron Nesmith. So Nesmith has been doing the Brunson job incredibly well, and it makes you wonder, what are the Pacers going to do? Because now they find themselves in a very tough situation with this. Now, Aaron Nesmith thus far, he's been the guy who Jalen Brunson averages the most points per game against out of any matchup he's faced throughout the playoffs at this point. It's important to note that Nesmith has guarded Brunson the most, so it does add up that would happen. He also spends the most minutes guarding Jalen Brunson. So all of this does make some sense here, but Brunson's numbers have been good. He's shooting 50% from the field, obviously not shooting great from 3, but he is shooting well from the field, and yeah, he has not been excellent against Nesmith. So the fact is, he's scoring well, but he's not being his most efficient self. And so you consider all that and you start to think, okay, this is not exactly the best case scenario for Knicks fans, but with Nesmith getting hurt, it's a tough situation for the Pacers to navigate here. I mean, on this list as well as Ben Shepherd, and we will talk about him and Andrew Nembhard, who's also on this list a little bit more, because also you just look at who spent time guarding Jalen Brunson in these games, and we see Tim Hardaway Jr. at the most, where, I mean, Brunson just did a great job. Or, sorry, this is Brunson guarding Tim Hardaway Jr., which he did a great job. And then Aaron Nesmith, well, here's the deal. Brunson has not been able to guard him at all. We're seeing him shoot 71% from the field against Jalen Brunson up to this point. That's not what you want to see at all, especially when he's shooting 100% from 3 against Jalen Brunson at this point. So also when Brunson gets matched up with Nesmith, Nesmith is doing an excellent job against him. So you get into the situation where you're like, okay, this is not ideal at all, especially if you're the Pacers right now and you're looking at Nesmith, who's been your guy. Now Brunson, again, he's been great against Nesmith at this point to a degree when it comes to scoring, but you look at all the guys who Nesmith has guarded for any period of time, Jalen Brunson averages the most points per game. Again, Nesmith is guarding him more than he's guarded anyone else. You see Donovan Mitchell is also able to do an excellent job on Nesmith as well. So things get a little bit interesting when you consider all that, but there's also other matchups that you look at. You look at the way that Jalen Brunson has played against none other than Ben Shepherd. Or this is Andrew Nembhard. Sorry, the numbers confuse me, guys. But no, against Andrew Nembhard, what we're seeing is Jalen Brunson put up 6 points per game, shoot 40% from the field, and 28.6% from 3. It's less efficient than we saw him in the past. Again, the most points per game against Nembhard, but it still is not the ideal matchup because Brunson's going to have that confidence against Nembhard as well. And then when you look at who Ben Shepherd's guarded, it's mainly been Jalen Brunson when it comes to who scores the most points against him. Now, Donovan Mitchell played against him for a few seconds, essentially, and just cooked him as well. But Jalen Brunson has been excellent against Ben Shepherd, shooting 41.7% from the field and 40% from 3. So you look at Shepherd, who's been the guy who they've went to a lot when Nesmith is out to guard Jalen Brunson. It's not working. Nembhard has worked, but for a full game, we've seen what Brunson is able to do to him. The Knicks are now in a really good situation, and I'm not saying I'm happy Aaron Nesmith is injured. I'm not. I don't root for injuries. I talked about this with the Celtics. I don't want players to get injured. I want to beat the best version of each team. But again, injuries are part of the game. I mean, the Knicks have both benefited and been hindered by injuries in the past. Against the Pacers, for instance, they had a ton of injuries. They lost their entire bench because, some of their bench was already playing. Julius wasn't there. We saw Bojan Bogdanovic go down. We saw Josh Hart go down. We saw a bunch of New York Knicks players. We saw OG Anunoby go down. A bunch of them got hurt. Mitchell Robinson was injured. We saw the Knicks play the Pacers team with literally half their lineup, and they took it to 7. Now the Pacers find themselves without one of their key players, and you have to think this is going to have a positive impact for the New York Knicks. So if the Knicks win this game and Nesmith is not all right going back into MSG, the Knicks not only have the momentum again, but they also now have the best Jalen Brunson defender not there or not at 100%, and it will struggle to guard Jalen Brunson if he's not at 100%. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Obviously, the Pacers can still win the series. Obviously, the Knicks can still win the series. It's 2-1. Anything could happen in this game 4. But guys, what do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Knicks. Sorry I mixed up those numbers, but you look at all the NBA stats. It starts to get in your head. I'm not Rain Man,